welcome everyone to our session, and our speaker today is joining us from London, UK, and his name is Maury Shenk, and he is an experienced entrepreneur, investor, and lawyer with a passion for artificial intelligence and education. He is the CEO of LearnerShape, which is a company that uses AI to build the world's first open source learning infrastructure. So I'm looking forward to hear more about that. And Maury is also the director of global testing and certification company PeopleCert, founder of a consulting firm, Lilly Innovation, and advisor to global law firm. Welcome, Maury, to the session. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to talk, thank you for the introduction, Kinga. I'm going to talk just a little bit more about myself, about how I got here. Way back, I attended some good schools, and I was a pretty academic type, but I took a long detour into the law and business. I'm still a lawyer. I was a partner at a law firm for quite a number of years, but through it all, I was interested in technology, digital business, and also academic sides of things. That while I was at law school, I wrote a paper that I'm pretty proud of about based upon a computer model on the prisoner's dilemma game. 10 years ago, I wrote a paper on informationology that I published. I won't go into these. You can find them online. A number of years, about a decade ago, I started getting into education. PeopleCert, where I'm on the board, is a fast-growing player in the global skills certification space. Then a number of years later, through what we think is the world's oldest IT dining club, it's called the Real Time Club. It's been meeting for dinner in London since 1968, where I was chair. I got involved with something called the Digital Diploma at the New College of Humanities, which is a new university here in London, and ended up being the steering committee chair of that. That was effectively a charitable project. And then about 3 years ago, I founded LearnerShape, and where I'm the CEO. And I'll tell you, this presentation is about what we're doing at LearnerShape. And the reason for this background is this project, it's a business, but there's a philosophy behind it of enabling access to information. The question that we ask at LearnerShape, or that led to the creation of LearnerShape, is what if we could use a variety of AI methods to provide a portable representation of every individual to inform their lifelong learning journey? And it's a big question. When I started to think about building a company around it, we looked at various business models, and one was to provide services to individuals. Where we ended up was to focus first on companies, but we were still looking at individuals. But with companies, at the time in 2018, we looked at the fact that both AT&T and Amazon were a couple of big examples who had announced that they were reskilling over 100,000 people each at very high cost. And these are businesses that AT&T changed from a traditional telco to a media business. Amazon is obviously changing all the time. There are many other companies that have this problem. General Motors is an example where they just announced that they're going to move from all internal combustion vehicles to all gas vehicles. A huge amount of reskilling that's going to have to happen to make that happen. And we don't know yet how they're going to do that. But it seemed clear that there was an opportunity to address this problem, and lots of people are doing this, and to use AI to do a good job of it. So what we see out there in the market is there are a lot of platforms that are addressing the reskilling problem. The traditional platform-based approach is learning management systems that can put content online. There are quite a few excellent emerging content providers. LinkedIn Learning is probably the biggest, but Coursera is nipping at their heels and has recently gone public. I really admire Sana Labs, who have used AI extensively in their products. And then there are what is called learning experience platforms, which take other people's content and present it in creative ways usually with a lot more interactivity than the learning management systems. Degreed and Edcast are the big players in those. We've looked at this and we admire these solutions, but we think there's another approach that is useful in some very important places. So on the left are 3 tree houses. I actually had one in a tree in my backyard when growing up in the United States that looked a bit like the one on the left. But tree houses take a lot of different forms. There's 2 very different ones in the middle. And the reason why tree houses take different forms is trees are very different. You can't go out there and buy a tree house. You have to build a tree house. I mean, there are people who sell tree houses, but if you want to have a cool one, like one of these, you build it according to a plan that fits that tree. I was reading earlier the article about the guy on the bottom here and how he built it. So what you go and buy is not the tree house, but you buy a set of tools and materials to make it. You buy the lumber and maybe you have a saw and screwdrivers and a hammer and nails, and you build the tree house. And that's infrastructure. That's the philosophy of what we're doing at LearnerShape. And this infrastructure approach is hugely successful in the digital world right now. Amazon Web Services, which is, I think, the second most valuable company in the world, maybe third after Apple and Microsoft. Most of their value isn't from selling us all goods, whatever we want to order online, but for their cloud IT services, which started as a small number of services, but is now hundreds of services that can be assembled to build any kind of online application. And this is happening in lots of other sectors, like communications, where Twilio does similar things, payments, where you have Stripe, e-commerce, Shopify, and here's a couple of other examples, UiPath and Airtable. So what we are doing at LearnerShape is we are building the world's first AI-driven open source learning infrastructure, and basically trying to do for education what some of these other companies have done in other digital sectors. And what that infrastructure is, I'll come on to the details soon and some examples. But at a high level, what it is it's applying data science using skills as a common language to connect the various pieces of the learning environment, which means learners, students, people on the job, et cetera, teachers and mentors, the jobs that they are coming from or going to, and the exploding types of online content. There are many kinds of content. There are new things like augmented reality and virtual reality content. And all of these things can be used to teach. And there's a really great opportunity to use AI to make this better. So what we do is we provide a diverse set of tools. Many of them are AI-based, not all of them, that can link the many dimensions of the learning environment. A key piece of the AI that we use is natural language processing AI. AI has really taken off in the last 10 years, since about 2012, when deep learning started to make a big impact on image recognition. But for language, it didn't take off quite as early. And the revolutionary progress in language has really happened since about 2018, when Google introduced the transformer architecture and the BERT model. And since then, the progress has been very fast. Some of you may have heard about OpenAI's GPT-3 model, which is brilliant at writing text. We've experimented with that a little bit. And the advances are coming very fast, and a lot of them are open source. So a company like us can use them. So we think of this, addressing these problems on a reskilling pipeline, that there are many steps to doing reskilling, and we don't do all of them, but they all need to be done, or most need to be done for an organization that wants to reskill people. So you need to figure out what the employee's skills are and do it there are very many inconsistent and complex skills taxonomies that could be used for this. We have a way to simplify that. Then you need to define the skill gaps to fill the future needs of the people being reskilled. If you're in a business or any other organization, those needs can be changing very rapidly. And a lot of organizations don't know what their future needs are. Then you have to select the content that can be used for the reskilling. And there are thousands of content providers. The content is constantly updated. You need to assess the quality and relevance. There's free content. There's content that costs money. All of these are considerations in what content to select. Then, based upon the needs, you need to recommend learning pathways using that content. So match the needs to the specific content. How do you match content to skills? How do you assess the quality? How do you assess the level of content? All of these are difficult problems. Humans do it pretty well. Machines can't do it as well yet. And we use a combination, but we believe there's a big opportunity to automate a lot of these difficult tasks using AI. And then finally, you need to deliver the content. This is another piece of it that we don't do much, but there are a lot of platforms that are good at content delivery. When we recommend content, and we generally recommend it in the location it is on another platform. So what we do is we take this reskilling pipeline and we break it down into building blocks that can be used to automate the process. So the ones in the middle that are green are ones that we've already built. So workforce learning recommendation, assessing who's best. Say you have a workforce of thousands of people, you need 10 people for a new one job and 20 people for another, looking across the workforce and deciding who's best for what job. And then once you decide what individual is going to a job, you need to recommend a learning pathway to get there. Learning is much more effective if it's collaborative. So if you can automatically recommend people collaboration and mentorship opportunities. So collaboration between people studying the same thing, or mentorship of somebody who knows more about something that's being studied. And then there's other pieces of this. The yellow bit we've built some of, curating and maintaining content. And then skills needs discovery is something, we call it our moonshot. The idea that you could look at a bunch of data, say reports, articles about an industry, and extract from that the knowledge about what skills are going to be needed to make progress in that industry. And it uses some of the same AI techniques that we've been using, but we haven't implemented it for this purpose yet. We use a variety. I use AI as a general term. It covers, to cover data science, machine learning. We use a wide variety of methods. Our learning recommendation uses Google's BERT algorithm. For those of you who know about machine learning, BERT does a pretty good job with its native model, but if you fine tune it on your own data, you get much better results, and we're doing that. We use some other more traditional methods, which are listed there. For job recommendation, we figure out the distance between the skills you have and the job that you're going to. We use some fairly basic similarity methods at first, but we moved on to some neural embeddings for that. For workforce planning, we put a combinatorial solver on top of that. Course level prediction is something I'm particularly proud of, figuring out just by looking at a course, whether it's introductory or more advanced. And we use an ensemble of methods that are listed here. Course quality prediction, we do some of that, and we use more basic data science methods there, like ratings, and average them across, average the quality predictions across different sources. In addition to the AI-based pieces, we have some interfaces. The one on the left is to illustrate the graph of skills that an individual has, both current skills and target skills. The one in the middle is a map of skills across an organization. The one on the right is a learning pathway of a number of courses that have been assembled. A lot of these pieces, we believe, to make this model work, it needs to be broadly adopted. So we've taken an early decision to open source, not everything we do, but a lot of our key components. Our first open source release was about 7 or 8 months ago. We're steadily adding new features. You can see the link there where this is available on GitHub. Anybody can download it. Anybody can contribute to the project. we're a young company. We're now rolling this out to pilot customers. My favorite customer is the British Standards Institution on the left. They're a very old company. They're over 100 years old. They're probably the world leader in creating standards, and they have a lot of content. We're helping them efficiently recommend that content to their users, both organizations and individuals, which takes us back to our original idea that we could serve both individuals and organizations. We're also testing with the New College of the Humanities, which is a UK university that I'm associated with, and PeopleCert, where I'm on the board. And more broadly, we are pursuing a lot of partnerships. We want this to be a broad church kind of thing. So Innovate UK is the UK government's innovation agency. They've provided the majority of our funding. Institute for Ethical AI is a new institute at Oxford Brookes University, which is not part of Oxford University. It's a technical university that in Oxford that's been making a lot of progress recently, and they're validating our project. NCH is using our project. We're also pursuing research collaboration with them. And there's a few others here. In the middle is the logo of Mindstream AI, which is another small company. But together we've founded something called the Learn Tech Meetup, which is a series of meetups on learning plus technology. We've done two. We've gotten some pretty good attendance. They're free to attend. And the third one is going to be on July 14th about using AI for skills. One of the speakers is Conrad Wolfram, who's been the CEO of the Wolfram company that built the Wolfram Alpha engine. It was his brother Stephen that conceived of it, but Conrad's been the CEO. I'm really excited about that one. So that is basically what we're doing. We are looking for help on this project. We're a business, but we're also trying to create a community. And we're looking broadly for two kinds of things, collaborators and partners, so people who want to work with us or work on the code, and customers and users. So we're a business, and if the basic idea of this learning infrastructure is that you can build any learning application that you want. The platforms that I spoke about early in the presentation, they solve this problem in a lot of circumstances, but for very specific applications, the learning infrastructure can deliver much more tailored applications. That's the kind of customers that we're looking for. We're looking for any other kinds of users who would, for example, want recommendation as a service. We're early in our journey, so we're looking for paid customers, but we're also looking at people who are interested in testing our service, and generally happy to talk to people who are. My contact details are over there on the left. So I intentionally kept my presentation to 20 minutes, so I'd have 10 minutes for questions. I think the audience is modest size, so if there are questions, I'll take them. If not, I can talk in some more detail about some of the things that I was talking about earlier in the presentation.
Thank you, Maury. That's absolutely fascinating. What an interesting company that you have started, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more about how what this looks like, what this experience looks like for the customer and for the individuals using it. And in terms of reskilling, I mean, it just came out this year. There's a survey every year sent globally on what is going to be the biggest trends in the technologies in workplace learning, or not the trends in workplace learning. And this year, reskilling has been by far, beat all the other options. So it's very much an in-need company. So I have a question to start off. So what does it look like if I'm a company who wants to start? What does that experience what would it be like to collaborate with you in this initial, in this phase?
So basically, we talk about having a three-step process, which is defining the requirements. So sitting down with the company and figuring out what it is that are the specific learning needs that you're trying to fill. Is it, and which areas of content. So we have one company we've talked with, which is an AI company, a data science company in the oil and gas space, and they want to teach their data scientists about oil and gas, and their oil and gas people about data science. So there can be fairly specific requirements of that nature. There can be specific requirements in terms of the interface, and then then the second step is to build that. So part of our business model is to use the components we have to build an environment that works for the particular entity. BSI, I should mention, they're using a question-based interface. So they want they asked us, can you recommend our content based upon a structured set of questions? So we're building that, and then that will be a tool that we have that we could use for others. So the idea is customization at scale, where we have a number of components. Step 3 is then we go out and learn. Hopefully we built something that once it's built should be fairly hands-off, and that's how it works.
I guess as long as the organization is able to isolate which skills they need, right? And do you provide assistance in them identifying the type of skills that they need?
We provide, I'm tempted to show off my platform, our demo platform, but maybe I'll do, well, I'll resist the urge for the moment. But we provide the ability to illustrate skills. And so there are some companies out there that are excellent at determining what skills are. We had a conversation last week with one in France that's in that space, and are talking about partnering with them, because that is a part of the pipeline that is itself quite challenging to figure out, go through large amounts of data, extract skills. What we do, which we think is pretty, is somewhat revolutionary and certainly different, is we're not tied to any skills taxonomy. People who know reskilling, who are listening, I'm sure will be familiar with taxonomies like ONET and ESCO, and there's many others. There's an effort through the World Economic Forum to come up with a new taxonomy. But our philosophy, these tend to be confusing. Well, they can work if you operate within one taxonomy, but they tend to use different approaches. And what we've said is we can use the AI to recognize the connection between any taxonomy and any content. And so that's the bit we do. So the company can categorize skills using whatever tool, whatever taxonomy they use, tell it to us, and then we can run our recommendations using that.
Fantastic. That sounds really interesting. So if anybody has any questions, please post it in the question answer box. We have about 4 minutes left. But
I'll tell you, what I might do is just illustrate how the platform works.
I was just going to say, please do. I was just going to say, you were mentioning the platform, so please do show us.
So, oops, I'm not logged in. So live demos are risky, but.
And is this what the company would see or what the person being trained would see?
It has pieces of both, but so what you'll see first is what the individual would see. So this is my page, and so I can. This is a demo platform, so this is an example of what we can build with our infrastructure. But I can choose what my skills are. I can add skills out of a taxonomy that we created that's heavy on IT, and then I can choose a target profile. Say I want to change to be a business intelligence analyst, and then it maps on the platform. It maps in this graph, in a graph view, the skills that I have, which are the blue ones, and the skills that I need, which are the green ones. And then I can go and select courses based upon the target skills. So I can add a course and it shows me well, it shows me only the target skills now. And then I say I want a course in predictive analytics. I click on that. And these are courses that were mainly recommended by the AI, although there's a light human layer on top of that. And then, if I want to take this, I can get more info. This is a course on Pluralsight. And as I said, we don't deliver the content. So if you had a Pluralsight subscription, you might choose that as one of your content sources and go to it that way. So I guess I can show, I have a couple more minutes. I can show, oops, I'm briefly, we have various other, I will show one other feature, but since we only have 2 minutes left, but the ability to create, to look across your workforce. So there it is. So, we could do a demo of, for the learning ideas. We say we want to pick a chief information security officer, and we want to see the 2 best. I'll just analyze for there. And it's said that I'm our best chief information security officer. We're a very small company. That's my co-founder, Finton. So maybe we're the 2 most able people at the company, but you can imagine we can't show you real live data because it would be a data protection violation. But it's real live for just our small team, but it would be more comprehensive if it was for a bigger company. So there's many other things that we can build with this. These are some examples. There's also, we can, I have 1 minute. I will just show you, we can help you choose mentors and learning partners from among the people. So the idea is use AI to enable a wide variety of applications like this.
And I can see how you're creating a community, because if you can connect to mentors and advisors, then that starts building a community of learning in how you connect with others who already have the skills that you're looking for, which is really, really fantastic. Well, that is an incredible platform and very, very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing it, and all the best with it. I really look forward to digging more into that work and seeing more of the details. So thank you very much. And thank you for everyone for joining.